Welcome back to Scotting Movies, everybody. We're going to be talking about a movie today that um, has one running joke throughout the whole movie. That's kind of all it has, but it has that joke. We're talking about a movie called Twins, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito as, you guessed it, twins, literal biological brothers. It's not a Saturday Night Live sketch. It's directed by Ivan Reitman, the guy behind Ghostbusters, and somehow it's exactly what you think and less than it could have been. So let's talk about the synopsis. How are these two extremely different actors playing twins? Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Julius. He's a genetically engineered Superman raised in isolation on a tropical island. He's all brains, brawn, and kindness. One day that he finds out that he has a long lost twin brother, Vincent, played by Danny DeVito, who's the exact opposite. He's a sleazy, debt-ridden con man living in LA. They reunite, learn that they were part of a government science experiment gone wrong, or right, depending on your viewpoint, set off on a road trip to find their birth mother. There's also the stolen engine, some mafia guys, and a very confused tone. So let's be honest. Twins has one joke. And to be fair, it's a pretty funny joke. For about 30 minutes, the visuals of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito standing right next to each other, trying to pass as um, identical twin siblings, is worth the price of admission. Yeah, I mean, you want to laugh at just the sheer commitment to this bit, but the movie never really builds on that joke. It just repeats it over and over and over. There's different settings, same punchline. Eventually, this novelty wears off, and what you're left with feels more like a sketch that was stretched way past its expiration date, rather than a really fully realized film. Um, let's talk about the performances for a second. Arnold Schwarzenegger is trying something new here, right? He's not the Terminator. He's not Conan the Barbarian. He's basically a buff Mr. Rogers. Um, with a PhD. It's kind of endearing at some points watching him bumble through LA, completely baffled by hot dogs and rock and roll, and it's kind of charming until you realize that he's just not that funny. He's trying. That counts for something, but you can see the effort behind every single comedic moment that he has. There's a stiffness to his performance that makes you appreciate how hard comedy really is, because Arnold isn't fantastic at it in this movie. He's done comedy later in his career that did work well, um, but this particular movie, it's just not his wheelhouse. Um, Danny DeVito, though, he's in his element. This is a comedic actor from through and through. He plays Vincent. He's this greasy, fast-talking scumbag who eventually has a heart. Um, his comedic timing saves entire scenes. He knows the kind of movie that he's in. He plays to it perfectly. If anything in Twins works consistently, it's Danny DeVito's comedic timing. It's just what he's doing best. He's being hilariously miserable. Kelly Preston plays the love interest of Julius. There's two women in this movie. I think they're sisters. Um, could be wrong there, but I think they are. One is Danny DeVito's long suffering girlfriend, and the other is Marnie, who falls in love with Julius, and she brings a little heart into this film. Their dynamic is actually one of the more sincere elements in this movie. There's a sweetness to it that hints to what twins would have been able to be if it had leaned into emotion rather than this one joke, one pony trick that they're doing. Um, it never really goes anywhere. And that's part of the problem with this particular subplot is you have really good chemistry between the two actors. You have really good sweetness, and it just never takes off anywhere. And you really wish that it would have, rather than leaning into this joke that gets repeated 37 times. You know, the script feels like a back of the napkin idea that someone sold to a studio before thinking through it. Uh, you have got four credited writers in this movie, and the movie still feels like a rough draft. The explanation of the twins' conception is ridiculous and completely lazy. All the good stuff went into Julius. All the leftovers became Vincent. That's not science. That's a mean joke at your sibling's expense. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it doesn't work that way. The third act, suddenly we're in a crime thriller. Assassins show up. There's a showdown between mafia people, mother's reunion. It's like this movie wandered into another genre by accident and no one stopped rolling and no one stopped to think, hey, is this the same movie that we're trying to film here? There's a real opportunity here to explore brotherhood and identity, what it means to find family later in life. Twins is too busy pointing at itself and laughing to be able to realize the real gold that was available here. And I'm not saying that comedy is devoid of finding these really important connections. I think the opposite is true. I think you can have really funny movies that lean it hard into comedy that still can find a heart, that still can find uh, real messages and real connections here. Uh, and the problem with twins is it doesn't care about developing that bond. It just wants to make sure that you keep noticing how funny it is that these two completely different people are twin brothers. It's a frustrating bit of this movie that all the weird plotting and recycled buddy comedy tropes, there's this outline of what could have been uh, that was both funny and heartfelt. But the movie chooses broad, easy gags every time. So, wrapping up Twins, um, is it the worst movie ever? No, definitely not. It's breezy. It's occasionally charming. It has good chemistry between its leads. If you're nostalgic for that late '80s kind of studio comedy vibe, there's some fun to be had. But as a complete film, it suffers. It's a letdown. One idea stretched way too thin with too little payoff. So, what grade do I give Twins? I'm going to give it a C, solid C. It's not awful. It's just undercooked. It's the kind of movie where you laugh a few times, shrug a lot, and then forget about it 5 minutes later. Danny DeVito does save it from total collapse, but even he can't turn this gimmick into something that's genuinely great. So, have you seen Twins? I mean, it was a pretty popular movie back in 1988, and so a lot of people did see it. How do you think it holds up? Is this one of those you had to be there kind of movies? And hey, if they actually go through that rumored sequel, it's called Triplets with Tracy Morgan. We're gonna need to talk. I can't see that going anything other than a disaster. But hit that button if you like these kind of reviews. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I'm putting out these videos. Like, subscribe, doing all those things. Other than that, see you next time. Thanks, everyone.